Do have a special guest with us. Go ahead, get out of here. Uh, Lawrence, we have a special guest, winner of the round, Wesley So. Wesley, come and say hello. You've got an adoring audience.
Just like last year.
Well done. Well, not exactly like last year. I was making mention of the fact that you kept us here till, what was it, midnight or something? Last year, where it was, well, not to remind you of, what is it, like a Queen and Pawn ending that went forever and ever.
Yeah, I remember.
But today, you've, quite frankly, it was a wipeout.
This your favorite opening.
Yes, take us through it.
I read your book and
You did.
you beat Mikhail Tal with the English.
Yes, exactly.
That's very inspiring.
Okay, so first of all, you were trying to avoid the Grunfeld, and you played English.
Yeah.
And secondly, did you expect that he would play the symmetrical English? Yes,
yeah,
please.
I kind of did.
You felt it was
I
coming.
kind of did. I mean, of course, here he has played many other moves.
Yes,
E5,
E5.
E6. But he played this against me before
Okay. Where was that? by
in
the
the
way?
Gashimov Memorial last year.
Yes.
And
yes.
in that tournament, I played E4.
Mm-hmm.
But it's clear Anish is probably the best prepared player in the planet right now.
On the planet, right?
So I'm sure he has analyzed it.
High praise indeed.
Well, now I played. I think I played Knight
Leonard,
F3 before.
Could you some water for Wesley, please?
Oh,
You got a water right there. Oh, there you
thank you.
go.
Appreciate
Yeah, you're
this,
a poor guy. You're working so hard at the chessboard. You need a little libation.
I can
All right.
I can relax after.
Yes, take it easy.
So I remember in the World Cup, Le
Mhm.
Quang Liam played Knight F3 against me, but he didn't achieve much.
Okay.
So I was looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's a typical setup. Of course, I was out of the book. But at least I think he's also out of the book. So that's an advantage. So I played knight e5,
Mm-hmm.
hoping for knight e7, bishop
Yeah.
g5.
Nice.
In a nice
Unpleasant. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe
that-
in a simultaneous game, I would see something like this.
I'm going to say Frank Marshall
Uh-huh.
would appreciate such H-file attacks.
Yeah. So I think knight c7 is a very good move.
Okay.
I don't see how else I can continue playing, because if b4, then he takes on d5, and there will be a lot of exchanges.
Probably drawing position. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was sort of like you played knight d5. He found what we would say testing. He
Yeah.
found the right answer, and
And
then you repeated.
Here.
And now e4. Explain your approach and how you came up with e4 here, Wesley.
Well, I play this symmetrical English with black as well, and usually black's idea is to be able to play knight e7 and then bishop e6, and then a later breakthrough on the
With
center.
d5.
d6, d5.
Right. I was just actually wondering if you're familiar with this idea
Knight.
of Roman Gingihashvili, which basically goes like this, Wes. Knight e1, bishop e6, knight c2, d5, b3. Yeah?
I'm not familiar with b3.
Yeah, because it's actually a tricky position, and it's not so easy for black. You think that black has achieved a lot with d5, but the funny part is that he actually has some issues. This is interesting. But that wasn't your approach. You're just saying that you're familiar with
Maybe
e4 and you know it, so you played e4. Fair enough?
Yeah, but
And-
your idea seems good for another game.
Yeah, exactly. Roman's idea.
Um,
Now, what was happening here? You both played these very subtle moves, bishop d7
Yeah,
and
I'm
bishop
not
d2.
sure if bishop d7 is the best. I was expecting rook b8 from him.
Which is a very normal, natural move in such line. Yeah.
Yeah, so that every time I play knight d5, he can always meet it with b7, b5.
So the idea of rook b8, as you just mentioned, is that anytime your knight jumps to d5, he's
Yeah.
got b5, which makes sense. So maybe you would have to jump to b5, but then he would play
then
bishop
e6,
e6.
and then he saves the tempo.
Then he saves the tempo. So you think that maybe bishop d7 was a poor choice?
Not what I expected them.
Let's leave it at that, yeah?
Yeah.
And then, okay,
Bishop
and now
d2.
from your side, explain bishop d2. Because
Well,
this also
yeah.
looks a little bit funny. Why didn't you go bishop e3?
Well, my idea is in some cases to be able to play knight b5 and then a quick b2, b4.
Okay, so you're protecting the,
The
square.
b4 square.
Very good.
And also if, of course, if bishop e3,
Yes,
whenever he jumps on d4, I could never take with the knight.
because you're not. Oh, got it.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
And, bishop e3 is a possibility with the idea of queen d2,
D2
bishop
and
h6.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to follow in Anish's footsteps.
Okay. So bishop d2, h6.
It's a
Was
wait-
that a surprise? I didn't.
It's
A
a
lot
wait-
of the moves that he
waiting
made.
move.
Yeah. But a lot of the moves I couldn't guess from him. Bishop d7, h6. These
I
weren't
think he was
easy
just
moves.
trying to be flexible, hoping that he's hoping that maybe I would go f4,
Okay.
and then he can take and play f5, and his king would have a safe place on h7.
Okay. Very good. But you have instead you have played knight
Knight
b5,
b5.
which I liked very much, by the way. And this arrangement, it's nice that the knight on e2 is much more active on b5. It just
Yeah.
feels better placed, yeah?
I think that's one of the advantages, even with this completely symmetrical position. The only difference mainly being my pawn's on a3 and his pawn's on a5.
So he has no such
That's-
possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he played b6. Did that move? Were you expecting that move?
Well, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, he
He
has
was
another choice. I didn't know if he needs to trade knights without changing the pawn structure. I didn't know if that meant if it was a move you gave much consideration to.
I think I would be happy with this position I take.
Yes.
And
Okay,
then
this is all standard. Yes.
and then maybe now just to get a space advantage
And you.
and
You're
play
happy.
rook a1. I remember was it Kasparov Karpov?
Yeah.
1985.
Except that in this case, you've given him the A file, right?
Well, I'm going to play rook a1 next move.
So queen d7.
You have rook a8.
Yes. Yes.
Or I play, I suppose he has the a5.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take with the queen. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard
You
for
have
me.
space, but
Not much.
but not much of an advantage beyond that. Okay, that didn't happen. Instead, he has
b6.
b6, and now
Yeah, I was
At-
surprised when he took on d5.
okay.
He,
Because,
he gave me the bishop there.
What I wanted to say is the position went south for him very quickly. It was like at a certain moment we really thought it was you were wiping him out, and so some errors crept in. For you, the
never
move
wipe
bishop
out.
takes d5 was an error.
I wasn't expecting that move.
How did you see
I-
it?
Because I was threatening to jump with the knight on c7 and then grab the bishop. So I thought he would play either rook b8 or rook c8.
Okay, waiting kind of moves. Yes.
And it's not really clear what I will do next.
You mentioned
Probably
b4, yes?
Take. But
Mm.
even here, I'm not threatening anything.
Major, yeah?
Yeah, if I play, let's say he plays king h7. And I would like to play the move b4, b5.
But you're already occupied.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
But it should be close to equal because okay, I'm slightly better. But
Yeah, slightly better.
It's not clear what I'm
So
doing next.
after bishop d5, cd5, knight a7.
Maybe this all knight 7 also a slight mistake because
After
knight
knight
d4
d4.
I would take. Then maybe take here.
But isn't he left with just a very
Bad knight on
bad knight?
e7.
Yeah, I mean it's so pleasant for you,
Hmm.
and your bishop can always go to h3, and it's immediately active, and he
Ah.
needs like 3 or 4 turns to get his knight into the game. No,
No, I thought he can block my bishop with f5.
big commitment, big commitment. Okay, but it
So-
was still pleasant for you already at this
Yeah, so
moment.
probably bishop takes knight. This.
A step in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
I
although
believe.
I was considering e takes d5 here, but I was happy with my choice with
Okay.
capture to the center.
Sure.
Knight a7.
I thought this was a very good move from you, knight c3.
Yeah.
Without the
think
knights,
so.
but now he has to be concerned that maybe you will change direction with
With
a4, and maybe after, pardon me, maybe after a4, you will end up directing and controlling
that will be
square.
very good as well.
If you can get the
If I can get f.
f5, h4. This is all, but maybe launching the f pawn was wrong. No?
I'm not sure.
What did you
I
expect?
think he didn't have much of a choice here because this knight is just very badly placed.
Okay.
I thought b5.
5, yes. Yes.
Go like this.
Yes.
And he has a outside pass pawn.
Yes.
But I can
Block.
maybe one day put my knight on a3. So I would go h4.
Yeah, and it's just a pleasant position for white. I completely agree with
Yeah,
that. I thought that, well, first of all, I thought it was necessary in this moment. Oh,
Oh.
sorry, excuse me. All of it, to my eyes, all of his pieces are bad. Yeah.
Well, the
So-
knight on a7 is really the worst.
Yeah, I thought that he would play a move like king h7, with the idea of
You can click new variation.
new pardon me, with the idea, you know,
h5, yes.
as his best chance to start to bring his pieces into play.
Mm.
Did you have a plan yourself? B4? Yeah.
But,
Change.
h5.
Yes, let's say. But the knight on a7, what you mentioned, really looks so.
Yeah, I can probably occupy the 7th rank.
Yeah, it looks very just fun for you.
Yeah,
All of the joy is on your side of the table.
yeah,
Yeah.
the point is this knight really doesn't have anywhere to go, even if it's transferred to b6.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, sorry. Even if it's transferred here, it doesn't really have that much prospects.
Agreed. All right, let us see the game, because really I thought the game ended up being really bad. Okay, take. F5, H4, bishop H3. Here, the bishop on H3 I thought was waking up like a
Was
big
very-
monster, no? B5.
Knight e2, forcing.
Now, after F3, this is really helping you, I thought. Did you feel it yourself?
Well, I think this is a practical try because now my knight has to move again,
Okay.
and c1 doesn't look very good.
Okay.
I thought he would go g5. Of course, if he takes on g3, then I would just
He's
have
helping.
no risk.
Exactly.
Although I'm not sure how to make progress, but
Well, eventually you find a good square for your knight one day.
I was actually expecting the move g5
Okay.
and thought it might be his best chance. And then I'm not sure how I can continue here.
Bishop G4? Or
Or
check
If
first.
check, king h7, then rook f6. But I should be better. But
Well, let's say you play bishop G4 and king G2. Yes. No, check is fine.
check first.
Yeah, what you did. And bishop G4 and king G2 and knight.
Knight g8.
Yeah, king G2, knight G H6, knight G1, or rook H
H1.
first. His knight on A7 is still so
Yeah.
without prospects, no? Knight G1. And if you can get.
Well, I'm worried about my king, yeah? FG3 queen.
No.
No?
FG knight f3.
Ah.
Don't worry. Be happy. Bishop g5 is yeah. Okay, let's see. Take us through it because we've got so many games going on. Wes, he played f3. You played knight c1. He played h5. And already at this point,
I saw this very nice maneuver.
first of all, it is, and then secondly, aren't you just coming knight c2, knight e1, knight f3?
Well, that's why he played b4. But
Now, but this is already desperate.
I didn't find a way how he can defend his pawn on f3.
Exactly. I didn't either.
So yeah, yeah, and knight e1.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I have this
No.
very strong bishops.
This is the demonstration of the bishop, the power of the bishops. Yes. That would have been hopeless.
Yeah, if only he had his light squared bishops. But
Yeah. So d4, b4 was, I thought, already desperation, but necessity.
Well,
Yes. It's easy
yeah,
for you to say.
unfortunately for him, the pawn on f3. He lacks a tempo
Right.
to defend this. Again, because of his knight here, he couldn't bring the rook really. He couldn't bring the a8 rook
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. So
Yeah.
and then
Already, okay. This is obviously very nice, and what happened was killing. But already you also had another choice of knight
Bishop
c2, bishop b4, or knight c2, knight e1, knight
knight
f3.
c2.
Yeah.
Would go knight c2, knight b4.
So it's okay, it's not completely a dream. Okay, but
White is a pawn up, yeah. Bishop
knight b4, knight d4, bishop e3,
or bishop
bishop
takes.
b4.
White has many
Joyful prospects.
Yes. I think what I chose was okay.
Okay.
Because now b4 is also falling.
All right.
And then I was looking at this, but it's probably just desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and white should be winning here somehow. Can play knight takes f3.
Well, one day you're going to be able to just pick up this pawn, no? You take on d4, take on f3, or even with...
Yeah, you should be winning, of course.
Sure.
But of
Two
course,
pawns.
when you have a winning position, you want to play as safe as possible. So
You're talking to the choir.
I was happy when he took.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, I think it's pretty. If lost. Again, this bishop on h3 is very powerful. So
it's magnified not only by the power of the bishop, but by the poor place of the knight on e7. This knight on e7 was like a traitor. It never made a threat, and it never got into the game.
Well, it tried to make a comeback by knight c6.
Did it? Did it? Well, well, okay, the knight on a7, but the knight on e7,
The knight on e7.
It never made a comeback. It never even got, it would have been fired if it was if it was a football player. The coach would have fired the knight. Transfer.
You cannot blame any player from the team.
Of course.
But of course, I messed up so many winning or better games from the past. So I was careful until
the very end. Yeah.
Yeah. Queen f6. I can just go queen b7.
Yeah, the threat of rook h7
7.
mate is an issue.
I didn't mess up.
Wesley,
thank you.
Nice game. What a great start. And, if you can keep this form up, that would be very, very nice. Who do you play tomorrow?
Will be fun.
Who you fun?
Yeah.
All the best, my friend. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Wesley So, everybody.